Hey everybody, welcome back to Substance Designer 5. So I know it's been a while since I've posted up an update on this project, so I figured I'd just post something up here today just to kind of keep you guys in the loop on what's been going on. This is, I think, the last thing that you guys probably saw, or something similar to this, and I just wasn't really liking the result that I was having. So if you guys look to the left here, you'll notice that I'm on my third iteration now on this project, and the end goal is to make something that looks more like this. So looking at what do we have here, I just wasn't really happy with the shapes that I was creating. Let me just kill this here so you can just see the height map and the normal map of what we have. And so I mean, like, I was getting a decent height map, but I just wasn't happy with the colors, and just kind of the general rock shapes that I had here. So I pretty much started again, and this was kind of the second version. And the second version, is this the second version? This is the second version. So this became the second version, and again, it was, the rock shapes were getting better. Like I'm starting to like these rock shapes a lot more compared to the first try that I had. So I was more happy with this, and essentially, literally what I did was I went through all these rock shapes, and I just started playing around with the polygon and making it more, putting the gradient up a bit more so we get these like sharper edges, and then just kind of running it through little blends and fixing like the gradient map. So I did that essentially with all of these. Some I put like slope blurs on there to kind of get like nice little cool shapes. And so I pretty much did that treatment throughout all the rocks, just to make sure that each rock that I had that was going to be in the scene was something that I was going to be happy with. This rock is probably the one that I'm least happy with. This rock 4. And I was able to kind of create some of these really cool shapes with some of these rocks. And so I was pretty happy with version 2, and then came version 3. So now you guys kind of get to see, hold on, let me just open this up again so you can see the difference here, right? And then you see this now, which is now starting to look more like a pile of rocks. I'm not too happy with the color right now as well, so I'm gonna have to kind of go back and tweak the colors a little bit more. I feel like I'm losing a lot of the color in this section here, so I might have to kill. If I just get rid of the blend here, you'll see more of the colors. So I might just have to play around with this dial a bit more, but I do get more stronger like silhouette, like shapes of the rocks when I lower it down. This really helps with giving more shape to the rocks, but the problem with this one is that it's a little bit too strong. So I just have to play around with the colors now, vary some of the rock colors. This is like a good base, like to start off. But yeah, in overall, this is definitely the better substance that I've created so far. It's taken a lot of time and tweaks to get to this, so I just have to kind of go further and do that. A lot of things that I've learned is using the blend tools and the alphas on the blends. Something that's like really handy to use, using the copy blending mode more often, and then plugging in an alpha map into there to kind of just overlay it. So if I was to just kill the color right now, and kind of just show you, let me just put in just a generic uniform color for now, just to kind of highlight my point here. Like you can see the shapes of the rocks a lot better, right? So I just have to continue to kind of work on that. I feel like it's still not enough depth in these rocks, so I might have to look at doing some, like, things start to get lost like around right here, so I might have to kind of go in and create a little bit more depth. I feel like right now maybe there needs to be more lights and darks. So I think for right here, I might have to put like a levels, and then kind of play around with this a little bit more. That's the original. That gives you more kind of like rocks to play with. Right, so I just feel like there's definitely some improvements that I can do here. Like I feel like this is kind of a sharp line, but yeah, I mean I'll fix that soon. Like I feel like there's definitely some bleeding that's going on here. See how this is like bleeding in, and that's not something that you want. So I gotta try and figure out like where it's bleeding. So yeah, I might have to go in and fix some of my levels for a lot of these, and just crank a lot of these up. And make sure that there's no bleeding on anything, so that these are nice and crisp. So just going in, I'm fixing that right now. Now this one's going, so there's this one. And then we just have, yeah, I'm not really seeing, like there's a lot of okay, let's just plug this in for now, see how this looks. So that definitely helps out quite a bit, like sharpening up the alphas. Now we're not seeing them blend in as much anymore, which is perfect. So there's a few things that I still want to do. I definitely want to add, I want to add some like spotty rocks. So I want to add like these rocks right here. These are really cool looking rocks. I want to add noise to all my rocks, because right now there's only a few rocks that have noise. The rest are really smooth. So I'll go in and I'll do that. I'm just gonna close these ones. No. And you know, sometimes as an artist, you have to suck it up, even though you put in like hours of work into something. If it's just not working well, you need to just kind of step back and just realize that maybe some things aren't working, and you need to kind of put that work away, maybe step back from it. And that's honestly the reason why I haven't been posting too many videos, is because I just wasn't happy. I wasn't happy at where it was going, and so I decided that I needed to kind of figure things out before I recorded more things and put it up onto my channel. So I feel like I'm getting the flow of it a lot better, and I feel like this is gonna be less of a waste of time for you guys when you guys are looking at this. But yeah, I think those are the two takeaways from the past few weeks of just screwing around, was focusing more on like creating the foundation of your piece. If you have some really good shape rocks to build off, then you're in good shape. And then I went in and I tweaked, like I know if you notice, I made the texture, like I made the rock shapes a lot larger, whereas the other texture, it was a lot smaller. Now one of the things that I worry though is the tile. No, the tiling's good. I don't know why this wasn't tiling, but it makes sense. So yeah, so now I have some more interesting looking shapes. And yeah, so there's a few things I want to do. I want to add some noise to these rocks, so I'm just gonna quickly do that. So we already have, so I'm just literally gonna put like a dirt texture and blend it in. So nothing too fancy, nothing out of the ordinary. Rock 2 already has it. Rock 3 doesn't, so I'm gonna go in and I'm gonna put a noise here. I can either use noise or dirt, it really doesn't matter. Yeah, so I can use something like that, and then I can blend. So there's a lot of blending and stuff like that's going on. So that's a little bit too much, obviously. Let's see, maybe multiply. Multiply might be too much as well. I think multiply is probably, or screen is probably pretty good. And then I just bring the opacity down. Actually, I'm gonna go multiply. And then I just bring the opacity down. Right, and that should give it some more noise. Eventually what I want to do is create a like function somewhere where I can like add more noise and stuff like that, but I think that's looking pretty good. So shape 3, because now you're starting to see like the little noises here, and hopefully that shows up pretty good. Yeah, so you can see some of that noise detail coming through, which is exactly what you want. And so that was rock 3. I'll do that for rock 4 as well. And I'll put a different dirt. Maybe I'll try dirt 5. And do the same thing. I'm just gonna add a blend like that. What the hell did I just do? I don't even know what I did. I'm gonna add blend. Do the same thing. So that's color. So this is a color. I'm just gonna change it to grayscale. So when that happens, you just need to change it to grayscale, because both of these have to match. So I'm just gonna undo that. See how this is yellow, this is white, right? So right now it's saying that you have a color going into here. This one is not a color, so it won't work. So you just gotta change it to grayscale, and then everything's good to go. I'm just gonna multiply again. I'm just gonna change the opacity down. something just like that, maybe even lighter. And then for this one, let's do a dirt. Let's do a dirt 2. More blotchy, not as much. Get a blend. Go for multiply again. And we'll do the exact same thing for 6. And even for like this shape, like even this shape I feel could be improved on. But for now I'm going to leave it as is. But even this shape here, I feel like I can make it better. And I mean, I have 6 rock shapes right now. I can blend between them and make really cool ones. Probably lots of potential for that. So I'm just going to, well, that's not what I wanted. I want a blend here, and here's another dirt. Well, I've used a lot of dirt already. Which dirt haven't I used? Maybe dirt 6 I haven't used yet. Throw it into there. Go multiply. Just gonna bring this down. Very subtle. Alright, so now that should help make the rocks kind of pop out a little bit more. This is more of like the micro details, right? As for the rocks in the background, right now I feel like it's quite noisy, and it's really hard to make out like what is a rock shape and what isn't, if that makes any sense. So I might have to go in and kind of work on some of those background rocks. For now it works for now, but I think I'm gonna add that to my list of things to kind of improve on, is the background rocks. I think it needs to be more defined. So I'm just sorry, I'm doing this on my other screen, just writing down notes. I've added noise to it already. Now I have to decide which rocks I want to kind of, what rocks I want to add to the scene that's gonna have like spottiness to it. So I might, so this is currently my background rocks. What I probably could do is add a gradient map to it. Change the grayscale, and I can probably, so this is what it looks like. I can probably go to the gradient editor and play around with this a little bit more. This might help define some of these rock shapes a tad more. So I'm just gonna bring this up all the way, and then maybe bring this down a bit more. That might kind of create some cooler looking colors and shapes. Right, to kind of create some more kind of rock-esque things in the background. And then we can even like sharpen it a bit. I think there's a sharpen. So we're going to sharpen this a bit. No, can't. No, that's not going to work. So yeah, so I think that will be kind of my next focus afterwards, is to kind of try and improve that as much as possible. No, like that's not good. Like this is definitely making more rocks appear, but is it what we want? It's kind of the question. And see, like, this is like really white. Like, we can bring this in a bit more, like add more color to it. So yeah, I mean, I can muck around with this all day, but I'm not going to right now. Just going to kind of leave this as is for now, and then just kind of focus on. So right now I want to add some spotty rocks. So some spotty rocks. So for me, what I'm going to do is I might combine some of these, like I was saying before. Let me just bring up the reference image. Right now I'm working on my desktop at home, which makes it a lot easier, to be honest with you guys, to kind of record and do a bunch of these things. As much as I loved doing this at work, working on one screen on my laptop was just, it was pretty crazy. So yeah, so this is a nice kind of change. So yeah, so I'm going to add some of these rocks here, and they're pretty random shapes. So there's this huge kind of like graph that's going on for creating these normals and these shapes. So adding to it is going to be kind of a headache, but it's going to be worth it, I think, in the end. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to blend maybe this shape and this shape. And what I'll do is we'll see how this kind of, that's a pretty cool shape already. Like that already changes some of our rocks, right? Like this is really, really cool rock shape. And that's just combining them together, kind of created that shape. And I don't really have that shape here. So that's pretty cool. And what I can do is I can use the splatter tile. You can use tile or splatter, doesn't really matter. And then for these parameters, I'm just going to go and let's see. So there's like this zoom, right? Grid number. I'm just going to bring this down to like 4. And let's go rotation variation. Just kind of get some more variation on it. No, you don't want to change the pattern size because I like the size of the. I like the size. Let's see here. So let's pan, or sorry, let's do some disorder. And disorder is disorder random true. Let's pan this to. Let's do that. Do that disorder. I can't tell. I can't even tell if it's pattern size. It's size variation. This is what we want. So we want a few like that. Change up some of the luminance variation. Now there's no mask, which is really cruddy about this in particular, I find. So let's zoom. We don't want to really zoom too much. Something like that. Rotation. And then for this, let's create a mask for it. So I'm just gonna create like another. Let's go for. Is there a random? Let's go with. Now this is why I really like the mask, the tile random, is because of this mask random. Like this is a really handy kind of function to have, especially if you want to like get rid of a few of these. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna try this out. I'm gonna add a noise onto here. right? So I'm gonna do this. I'm gonna add a blend. I'm going to put this into right. So what I'm gonna do is this is okay. So this is not bad. What I do want to do is maybe put a levels here, and I'm just going to like play around with these levels. So that's making it white. So I'm gonna put this in the middle. I was trying to see if I can make this work, but I don't think it's working. I'm trying to just make like my own random generator, but that doesn't seem to be working right now. Let's see what happens here if I just, I mean, that's not bad. And then what I can do is I can add a transform. Then I can move this around to kind of create my own random. Going to zoom in. Let's stick with, so add sub. Let's go to add sub is probably the best one so far when it comes to trying to generate a mask. So yeah, so let's go with this for now. Let's go with something like that. And then for splatter, let's pan. Let's pan this on the Y axis. Let's go for disorder angle. There we go. Okay, so now we have kind of like this other rock shape. This is gonna be like my shiny, not my shiny, sorry. This is gonna be like my little dotted ones. So so now that we have that, we want to see how this blends in with the other rocks, right? So we have all these blends going on here. This is the last rock. So this needs to go into another, blend. So now this one shit gets crazy. Okay, so this, is there a levels? Let's see here. So this one now has a crap ton of stuff. So let's go to levels for this. And let's bring this all the way up here. Let's bring this all the way. Let's crank this up. And so that's the... Okay, so this goes here. This goes into here. This goes into here. So now we have that. Okay, so what we need here is we need a... I don't even see it. sorry, what am I doing? Okay, so this is not supposed to be there. This is supposed to have levels here. And this is supposed to be cranked up. So I'm supposed to make the alpha for this. So that's how it's going to look. That looks pretty gross. There we go. So now we have this rocks on top of these, and I see this hole here. Like, I don't like that hole. So what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to add a transform to here, and I'm going to move it so that we actually fill up that gap. I'm tempted to bring this up there. So now, there we go. So now we have that. So we have that. Yeah, so now we have less gaps. Like, I really want to fill up these holes as much as I can. And this one is going to be the one with the noise that has the color on it. So yeah, so this is a project and a half, just to get this in here, but it'll be worth it once we start adding in there. So now what we need is some color. So this is the background. So what we need is another kind of blend here. And we're going to need to blend this into there. We need to blend this next shape here into here. Hello? Hello?